my favourite reality TV show. Of course, The Apprentice. We're now midway through. Last night was week 6 of Lord Sugar's show, and we've got our very own celebrity to tell us all about it. Kayode Damali was on The Apprentice in 2018, made it all the way to week 7 before those infamous words were announced by Alan Sugar, "You're fired." Joins us this morning, though. Welcome back. Good to have you on the show. How are you?
Good morning, Anna. How are we doing this morning?
Yeah, great. Now, confession, right? So I took some holiday and I'm behind in The Apprentice, which meant last night I watched 2 weeks ago when Alex went. Bring us up to date. Go on, I know you're going to spoil it, but tell us about last night's episode.
Oh, so you didn't watch it last night?
I was watching 2 weeks ago. I'm trying to catch up.
I see. No worries. Well, last night was actually very... You know what? Last night would have been the perfect task to me, to be fair. They went to North Wales and they had to create a sort of excursion for tourists there. So it was proper fun. Like, it would have been amazing.
Great challenge, great task. And so how do they get on? Because they've had some miserable failures, I don't mind saying, so far, haven't they? There've been some real flops of tasks.
Yeah, I can't say that last night was even better, to be fair, Anna, but it was still enjoyable for the viewers nonetheless. I mean, they had the zip wire that looked crazy, which apparently is boasting the fact that Shane Ritchie was on it. And one of the teams did a cave tour. They had wine tasting. So, yeah, there's a lot of big variety of different activities for tourists up there.
I mean, it must be fascinating, like you watching it, because I don't know, but me and my husband are always like, I wouldn't do that, I'd do this. But it must be even worse for you, knowing what it's like, thinking, I could rock this task.
Yeah, particularly for the negotiations as well. Because for me, I used to run an events business and it's very similar. I didn't do tours like that, but we used to do tours of nightclubs, if you want to call it like that, across the northwest of the country, and it's very, very similar. So I was like, if I was on the tour bus, what would I be saying? What would I be singing? They're very similar. Exactly.
Right, for the spoiler then, anyone who didn't watch, you can just, cover your ears for a second. Tell us who went and was it the right decision?
Oh, no, so they cover ears, they weren't able to hear me. But anyway, the person who went last night was actually Amy, unfortunately. Yeah. But I love Amy because I didn't realise she mentioned that she's actually the oldest contestant The Apprentice has ever had.
Good for her. Yeah. She didn't look it, does she?
No, not at all.
No, and she was actually complaining she thought the decision was a bit ageist, but was it, Kayode? I mean, did she just not perform well enough?
I think with Amy, by week 6, I think generally across the board, if you haven't put yourself forward if you haven't at least put yourself forward as PM by week 6, you're always going to be treading on thin ice. I mean, by that time, when you're down into sub-teams, there's not many of you left.
No,
there
can't hide.
Anywhere to really hide.
No, indeed. So who's shining then for you? Who do you think is going to go all the way and maybe even get that apprentice crown?
Right, so Stephanie has definitely grown on me. Definitely 100%. Stephanie Affleck. I have a lot of confidence in Stephanie at the minute.
Yeah. She's nice and enthusiastic. I like that about her. She's a bit of a go-getter.
Yeah, she's got her head screwed on. She just seemed like, for example, she mentioned about having a tip jar. Put a tip jar last night. Like, even for myself, when I had a similar task on my year, I didn't even think about having a tip jar. Yeah, you don't get necessarily loads in it. I think she said she got about 20 pounds, but just these little things.
All helps. Yeah.
I'm like, Stephanie, okay then, Stephanie, I see you.
Yeah, could happen. Well, listen, keep in touch with us. We want to make you our official Apprentice correspondent, if you don't mind.
Yay.
Yeah, fantastic. We'll talk to you again about this very, very soon. But for now, Kayode Damali, thank you so much.